The large screen behind the couple flickered to life, and the audience fell silent. Instead of a montage of love-filled moments, a shocking video played. Gasps filled the room as Cairo's face turned pale. Without a word, Cairo turned and walked out of the hall. In the heart of Dumara lived a young woman named Asena. Known throughout the city for her stunning beauty, Asena's beauty was so mesmerizing that many suitors came from far and wide to seek her hand in marriage. However, Asena always turned them away. They couldn't understand why someone so beautiful and beloved would reject love and companionship. Beneath her charm and poise, she carried a burden, a deep, unexplainable fire within her. This fire had tormented her since her teenage years, a deep feeling of restlessness that she couldn't control. The only way she knew to calm it was through fleeting relationships, but no matter how many men she tried to be with, the fire never went out. This secret led her to live a life of solitude, masking her pain behind her smile. Her two closest friends were the only ones who knew the full extent of her struggles. Despite their support, Asena felt like she was walking a lonely path, uncertain whether she would ever find peace. One afternoon, while rushing out of a local coffee shop in the heart of Dumara, Asena accidentally bumped into a man named Cairo. He was tall and slender, with a quiet confidence that was unlike the men who usually sought her attention. Cairo was an artist, someone whose life was centered around the beauty of his surroundings, whether it was painting, drawing, or creating murals across Dumara. He wasn't the type to be dazzled by a pretty face or the wealth she had accumulated as a result of her beauty. Apologizing for the bump, Cairo offered a warm smile that made Asena's heart skip a beat. Something about him felt different from the other men she had encountered. It wasn't just his appearance, but the way he carried himself, with a calm grace that seemed to put her at ease. They struck up a conversation, and for the first time in a long while, Asena felt truly seen, something beyond her outward beauty. As they continued talking, they shared their common love for art and the city of Dumara itself. Cairo was fascinated by the colors of the city and had a dream of creating a mural that captured the essence of the urban life surrounding them. Asena left the coffee shop feeling lighter than she had in months, and she found herself looking for excuses to visit the cafe again. They met often, and as days turned into weeks, their friendship deepened. Despite the growing attraction between them, Asena was hesitant. She feared her secret might drive Cairo away, but a part of her also hoped that he might be the one to help her understand and finally quiet the fire within her. As Asena and Cairo spent more time together, their connection blossomed into something more than just a friendship. One evening, after a particularly long walk through the markets, Cairo stopped in front of a building covered in vibrant street art. He turned to Asena, looking into her eyes with an intensity that made her heart race. "Asena," he began, his voice softer than usual, "I feel something deep between us." Cairo continued, "You make me feel like I can be myself, without pretense. I want to build something with you." Asena smiled, but a deep sense of anxiety bubbled beneath the surface. She was scared. Several months passed, and Asena and Cairo's relationship grew even stronger. They laughed, shared dreams, and became inseparable. Cairo's love was genuine, and his steady affection seemed to ease the anxiety that had always clouded Asena's heart. Despite the joy they shared, Asena couldn't shake the fear that her secret would eventually tear them apart. One evening, as the sun set behind the skyline of Dumara, Cairo invited Asena to a small, intimate dinner at a quiet rooftop restaurant. The city's lights twinkled in the distance, and the warm air felt like a soft embrace. Cairo looked at her with deep affection, and then, to Asena's surprise, he got down on one knee. "Asena, I love you more than words can express. I want to spend the rest of my life with you. Will you marry me?" Tears welled in Asena's eyes, and her heart swelled with emotion. This was everything she had ever wanted: love, acceptance, and the promise of a future with Cairo. But in that moment, the weight of her secret grew heavier. She couldn't hide it any longer. She knew she had to be honest with Cairo about the fire that had haunted her all her life. Eager to share the joyous news, Asena rushed to tell her friends. Mala was overjoyed and embraced her warmly, but Cora's reaction was less than enthusiastic. Beneath Cora's forced smile, there was a hidden bitterness, a jealousy that Asena had always sensed but never fully understood. Cora, who had always felt overshadowed by Asena's beauty, watched with envy as her friend's life seemed to fall into place. Asena's engagement to Cairo stirred a deep resentment in Cora's heart, and she began to question why Asena, someone she considered imperfect, was able to find happiness when Cora herself had been overlooked. In a fit of jealousy, Cora took matters into her own hands. She had secretly recorded moments of Asena with other men in the past, capturing her vulnerability and weakness. Though Asena had confided in Cora about her struggles, Cora couldn't see the pain and depth of her friend's journey. Instead, she saw a chance to destroy what Asena had worked so hard to build. Cora devised a plan to expose Asena's secret on her wedding day, convinced that Asena didn't deserve the love Cairo had so freely offered. Cora's bitterness clouded her judgment, and she took the most cruel step she could imagine, betraying the friend who had trusted her with her deepest fears. The day of Asena and Cairo's wedding arrived. The grand hall was filled with laughter, music, and celebration. The couple stood before the officiant, ready to exchange their vows, surrounded by friends and family who supported their union. But just as the ceremony was about to begin, something unexpected happened. The large screen behind the couple flickered to life, and the audience fell silent. Instead of a montage of love-filled moments, a shocking video played. Asena with different men, a display of her secret, her fire laid bare for all to see. Gasps filled the room as Cairo's face turned pale. Without a word, Cairo turned and walked out of the hall. Asena stood frozen, her heart shattering into pieces. She ran after him, desperate to explain. "I'm sorry," Asena said softly, her voice trembling. "I wanted to tell you. It's not that I enjoy being with other men. It's just that I can't seem to have a serious relationship." Cairo tilted his head, concern flickering in his eyes. "Why do you think that?" Asena hesitated, her hands trembling slightly. "Every time I try, they leave me. Every single time. And..." She paused, swallowing hard as tears welled up. "And what?" Cairo prompted gently, though worry now crept into his voice. Asena's voice broke as she whispered, "Because I bedwet. I'm so ashamed of myself, Cairo. I didn't know how to tell you, but I thought you should know. I've been so afraid you'd leave me too. I love you, Cairo. I really do. Since I met you, I haven't been with anyone else. You're the only one I want." Cairo stared at her, his expression unreadable. The silence between them grew heavy, and after a moment he looked away. Without saying a word, he turned and walked out, leaving Asena standing there, her heart sinking. Devastated, Asena returned home, feeling the weight of the betrayal and the loss of Cairo. The pain she felt was unbearable, but she knew she couldn't run from the truth anymore. She had to confront her inner demons and seek the help she had long avoided. Asena visited a renowned therapist in Dumara, someone known for helping people with rare psychological conditions. Through therapy, Asena began to understand that her fire was a manifestation of a deeper emotional struggle, one that could be managed with time, patience, and support. For the first time, she felt a glimmer of hope that she could heal. Months passed, and Asena focused on her healing journey. One day, she received a letter from Cairo. He expressed his hurt and confusion, but also his understanding. Cairo acknowledged that her condition wasn't her fault and offered to support her as she continued her therapy. This letter sparked a new wave of hope in Asena. She met with Cairo again, and though their relationship had been severely damaged, they decided to rebuild it slowly. Cairo stood by her side as she worked through her struggles, proving that his love for her was unshakable. Cora, filled with guilt for her betrayal, eventually confessed her actions to Asena. Deeply hurt, Asena chose to forgive her, understanding that holding on to resentment would only hinder her healing. However, their friendship was never the same. Cora's jealousy had driven a wedge between them that could never fully heal. In a small, intimate ceremony, surrounded only by those who truly loved and supported them, Asena and Cairo exchanged vows. They had been through pain and healing, but together, they found a new sense of strength. Asena's journey had taught her the importance of forgiveness, both of herself and others. True healing began with acceptance, and with Cairo by her side, she knew that together, they could face anything the future held.